We continue our potato tour across Russia. Today we are in the Vladimir region at the company Melagro. We are talking with the founder of the company, Andrey Sinitsyn. We discuss not only the technology of potato cultivation, but also the company's philosophy. So let's take a look.
You are a manager. You manage
a group of companies, right? Now it's a group, a company, but it's not really a group of companies. It's still one company. We just slightly separate it internally. Well, not exactly conditionally, just to have it like this. So there is a management company today, which also consists of separate blocks. And there are 2 production companies. And in principle, the task is, if we grow, we always grow as a production company. Accordingly, in any case, the management company must always be proportional to the number and volume of production companies. It must be understood that the company was generally built at some point, maybe as something like the company started with 1 person, with me. Accordingly, it was like a small private company that wanted to solve or had to solve the problems of its founder. That is, to provide for his family with bread, as they say, clothing, housing, and everything else. And that's how it was.
In 1992, right?
Well, in 1992, the first 2 hectares of potatoes were planted, which I personally planted myself. That is, it was just me, and I had an assistant who was more involved with the piglets, and he helped me a little bit somehow. So that's the story. The potato planting, back then, I was both the agronomist and everything else. And why potatoes? Because they are the most probably rational. The opportunity was specifically with potatoes. Why? Because, but the income per hectare and the possibilities on 1 hectare, meaning there wasn't much land. And moreover, well, it was impossible to grow grain. But I thought of, the land was sandy, so, well, potatoes were more suitable. Now, let's continue. When the company was established, it was created with this in mind. It was about making me free. Let's say free from poverty, perhaps from certain things and something else. What has happened over these years? This is the evolutionary path. And moreover, if we look at human pain, it is a very good helper to a person. That is, it always indicates to him what is not optimal. But if we touch a hot object, we will feel pain. That means our cells have started to deteriorate. Accordingly, we can do something about it. If something else happens to us and there is pain, so pain should always be considered as an indicator and a helper for making some corrections. Therefore, along this path, of course there was a lot of pain, and each time this pain occurs, you look at the situation, look at life, look at certain things, and you start to see it all differently. You reassess. Now, the next point, through this evolutionary path, the company, from such a private, I sometimes say, from a kebab shop, here, another tool was created. As you say, you have a goal to create a Russian brand or something else. So I also have a goal to make a group, a certain group of a certain size. I would like to see it very large, in size. Became strong, mighty. Group that can set the tone, can show as part of the culture, and perhaps with strong creative energy. And there the sun stopped. Brother-in-law, there they just need people. And If they are also relatives, well, great, wonderful, but I'm not a simple person. I've always been a bit different from other people before. Maybe I used to hide my worldview more, but today I have nothing to lose. As they say, I'm already quite old. I can already speak openly about it, that for me, as if in business, yes, I am a leader. I am a person who wants to help people, or at least my goal, as I told you, is to make people and make this group strong. And for this company to live on after me for many years, from scratch for all those years, yes. And yes, it's not a fact that these will be my relatives. I don't see it for myself as a task or goal to pass it on to relatives. I want to pass it on to other generations, not just all relatives. In the end, yes, to pass it on to this place, this country, and for it to work.
Well, if you're talking about your experience, it's like pain. What was the biggest pain for you in your business from 1992 to today?
But it was painful when you, as if, stood on the brink of complete bankruptcy. That's pain. That is all these years, it's your life spent on this. And at that time, I was no longer who I am today, but I was also not who I was at the beginning. And for me, it was very difficult. In terms of seeing and looking into the eyes of the people who follow me, and I led them to nowhere. That's where the pain is. The pain of not being prosperous as the head of the family because there are children, and I had the responsibility to feed them.
Here's a question. Is there anything that is not a potato? What would you like to do in life?
I could do anything else. I could be a doctor, I could be an engineer, I could be a builder.
And a childhood dream, was there one that you remember? What did you want to become?
That's exactly what I'm saying. All these things I listed are what I had as certain postulates. That is, I thought I could become an engineer, a doctor. I mean, that's what I liked. Well, a pilot too.
But a pilot to fly terrorists?
If you look at it from childhood. For me, it was simply the concept of a pilot. And I really wanted to be a pilot. And I even tried to enter a higher military educational institution. Well, something like that. They just didn't accept me.
What is flying to you? I know you have some experience with light aviation. You practice, you fly. What does flying mean to you? What does it give you? Freedom?
A feeling, some kind of, well, pleasure. Well, I haven't really, let's say, thought deeply about it. If I had the task to break it all down to atoms and see what exactly is in it. I think that, first of all, like any person, notice, I think that every person has this desire, I think, is God-given. These are the opportunities and the necessity to create something, to create some kind of outcome. You are piloting a plane. You are controlling energy. That is to say, it's captivating.
The feeling that you are controlling some flow of energy and can...
It's always like that. Whether it's a car, a plane, or a group of people, when you create something useful, or you just did something at home. You, damn it, I don't know, change the light bulb there. In the end, the simplest thing you can do. Or maybe you did something else. Or maybe you built a house. While you're building, you're living. While you're flying, you're living. While you're running a company and doing it successfully, you're living.
Melagro company. Today, February 25th, what does it represent?
Today, the company Melagro. This a small, I believe, company in terms of the number of employees. We have up to 100 people. It is a company that consists of a management company and 2 production companies. It is a company. First of all, I confidently state that it is strong and successful. It's like gold, you know, and there's a lot of everything. You need to wash the earth and soil to find something precious, something useful. Therefore, strong people remain in the company. People who could find themselves, who felt comfortable here. The company, Melagro, is different from other companies. And whoever comes here to work or for any other reason, they always noted this.
What makes it different?
It's a family company. I build it based on collaboration. That is, I don't have, and it's completely foreign to me and absolutely unacceptable for me. When someone thinks they work for me, it's so directly.
So the southern word boss doesn't apply to you?
No, not to me. I am responsible for this group. I am responsible for this company. I would even say more, I might be giving ideas to other people right now and say, there is a body, and within it, there is life. Leave the life of the body and the body itself. In 3 days, it will need to be disposed of. There is a plane. The plane is flying. You can see that the plane is flying. You can see that this is the material universe, meaning something material is flying, and within it, there is life. And that is the pilot. He is the life. He is the one who gives energy to this plane, and he controls it. Don't notice? Now remove the pilot from there, and this plane will fly for as long as it needs to reach the earth. And that's it. Take a restaurant here is a restaurant. The best restaurant, the best chefs, the best menu, everything is like that. The whole setting, there it is. They opened it, this restaurant, they launched it. And the life of this business is the people who will come there, well, including, of course, those who create this flow. But imagine that no one comes there in 3 months. This restaurant will need to be closed, sold, or something done with it because it won't survive. It's the same here. I believe that the founders of the company own the company's assets, but life is given to it by the people who create it. And most often, these are the founders themselves, but they just have different roles. A founder can be someone who has never even been to the company. He just bought the company, bought its shares. He simply owns the company's assets. And there are people we call the top executives. People who are goal setters, people who come every day to perform the tasks set by their managers. They are the life of any business. Leave life out of this business, and it will degrade, and after some time it will simply will not be valuable.
What do you not tolerate in your employees? What trait of character? If we say that this company is somewhat like a family, are there certain things that exclude people from this company?
The biggest thing is whether in the company or outside the company. I still do not tolerate irresponsibility. That is, people who cannot take responsibility even, for the mess they made. That they messed up there, the air, and asked and even said, I was fed. I mean, you understand, he didn't even take responsibility for that. Someone was the cause of that mess. That's what I do not accept.
Very good and interesting comparisons. I need to think.
Think about it.
What future? I understand that the times are not easy. What future do you see in the near future? Are there any plans for the development of your company that you can share? Anything you're planning?
I want to expand the business, but not in a mindless way and not just any kind of expansion. I would really like the company to grow itself, meaning this energy, this responsibility that is necessary in employees' involvement, the responsibility of my responsibility, involvement. From this point of view, I say, this desire to be, and look, it doesn't matter who it will be. It could just be an employee who honestly does their job. They are part of this movement. You know, a good business can be compared to a submarine or an airplane with a large crew, and which is so responsible, whether it's a submarine or this one, because any irresponsibility in any position leads to a general tragedy. Imagine, I often use the example of a submarine, and I say, imagine that we are in a submarine. And now, when we are at a depth of 150 meters, everything affects us. It affects us how the commander behaves, whether he is doing his job, how. The chief engineer, whether he is doing his job. What the cook is preparing in the kitchen, whether he is doing his job or not. There's no such thing as, it doesn't concern me, I'm just doing my part. No, everything matters there. When a problem arises, it doesn't just affect one department, it affects everyone. Therefore, if someone is not doing their job correctly, it would be very unwise and unethical to ignore it. When any business pays attention to this, when it looks at things from a submarine's perspective, that's when both the country and the business, and what is business? A small business is always a pixel in the picture of the state.